welcome back to another episode of Shonen Archive. I'm Wokey and I'm here with Zenrot.
Hello.
What's Shonen Archive? I'm so glad you asked, and I get to explain this again. Shonen Archive is a series in which me and Zen have dedicated our entire lives to eventually watching every single piece of Shonen Jump anime that exists and is available to us and is also translated in English. Starting with our main series being Gintama, and the other two series that we will get back to eventually being Kuroko's Basketball and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and then two additional ones, because it's been so long that they might actually start releasing new episodes for them, are Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man.
That's right, they might actually soon.
Actually, pretty soon.
Chainsaw Man movie's got to be coming eventually.
Eventually, somehow it's taken so long. Funny enough, I'm going to Horror Nights, and they have a Chainsaw Man little experience show, because that got brought over to us. So I was planning on
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was planning on doing a Shonen Archive Gaiden, which is the side series that I do while I was waiting for Zen to come back, so I could have an excuse to still keep talking about Gintama. And yeah, like I said, it's been a very long bit, but I'm glad to have Zen back, and we're ready to talk Gintama once again. How you been, Zen?
Oh, up and down. Life do be lifing.
Do be lifing indeed.
Life do be lifing.
Yes, but it's okay because we gotta hold on to life because we need to eventually finish Gintama. We're so close, Zen.
We can't die already.
And speaking of not dying, we're going to be talking about today the following episodes 279, 280, 281, which encompasses the Shinigami arc. It's 3 episodes. It's really funny that when we took the long break that we needed, it was always these 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. We just, if you want to know how crazy, we just could not find time for it. We could not even find time for 3 episodes, and God knows we tried. We did our absolute best. But let's start talking with episode 279, The Reaper by Day and The Reaper by Night. Zen, why don't you go ahead and tell us what happened in the episode?
So, Gatoki is at a bar, and the bartender is like, hey, careful, there's a serial killer now. And the murders are all weird because they just have like a cut on their neck, and that's it, and then they're dead. So they call them the Shinigami. Or the Crunchyroll translations was just the Reaper, which I guess is close enough to correct, but
yeah,
it calls it the Shinigami is what they call it. And Gintoki's walking home, and they find someone on the side of the road that's like, "Hey, you gotta help me kill myself because I want to kill myself, but I can't do it." And they start fighting, and Gintoki's finally like, "You know what? Fine, I'll kill you for all the lives you've taken. This one's for Krillin," which was the best joke in the whole thing, was when he said this one's for Krillin. But then the Reaper scythe thing like breaks, and it stabs him in the head, and they're like, shit. So they he ends up carrying the Shinigami back to his house on his back, and they all think that she's dead. And they're like, "Oh my god, you have to turn yourself in," because she did this thing where like her guts fell out, but it was fake. She wasn't actually dead. And she's like, "Sorry, I'm annoying you. I'll leave." And then we see our boys in the Shinsengumi investigating the murders, and they still have the same weird, like neck cut thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, who is this guy?" And then they figure out that it's like a talented sword stroke where you cut the head except for a little bit of skin that stops the head from falling off, which is ludicrous, by the way. The skin would just rip. But
it reminded me of that joke from Kung Pao. It was like, holy crap, man, how'd he do that? That is like bone and cartilage. It's not possible to do this.
Well, like, even if you could do that and a little bit of skin was still there, the weight of the head would just, the skin would rip from the weight of the head. It wouldn't be able to hold it up.
No.
But anyway, they're like, wow, Okita, that would take someone as good as you. And he's like, nah, lots of people can do that.
Where was I during this? It wasn't me.
Yeah, he was like, I was trying to kill you. So that's how you know it wasn't me. I was trying to murder you during this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, they cut you so swiftly that the cells aren't killed. This is a thing that's in a lot of anime. It's in Rurouni Kenshin, too. And they, for some reason in Rurouni Kenshin, they bring it up for like 2 seconds, and then they just like show that Kenshin can do it, and then they're like, okay, we'll never talk about this again
Never do this again. This
because
is this
he's
is
trying
also.
to.
Isn't this okay? You know what? Potentially, I'm gonna do a big clap.
Oh no, no! The Jujutsu Kaisen thing is the world cutting slash that like cuts space
Okay,
instead of like sending a cut out, it just like spawns a cut in like space.
got you. All right, all right.
This is like the. I think this is like. I'm not like a Japanese culture aficionado, so I don't know if this is right, but I think there's something where it's like if you like supposedly in Japanese like myth, if you're skilled enough with a sword, you can like cut something in half and then stick it back together because like you split the cells perfectly, and so they don't like actually cut. So like if you were to put them together, they would just fuse back together. I think this is like an extension of that. Is like what this is supposed to be.
I
Um,
wasn't. I think this is a technique that like goes back to like Kojiro, like Musashi. Like they said, I think they said Musashi was such a good swordsman, he was able to do that. If I remember correctly.
yeah, it's like a thing.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. It's in anime so much, and I feel like I've heard that before as like a samurai myth that like if a samurai is skilled enough, they can like cut stuff without cutting it. So when you stick the two ends together, they just like recover. But I don't actually 100% know if that's true.
You know what? I'm putting this on the list for potential things to talk about in Shonen Archive Gaiden because now I'm actually really curious about
All right.
this sword technique that seems to be in multiple Shonen animes.
Yeah, in Kenshin, he's trying to like find a replacement sword for his, and they're like, "Well, how do you know if this swordsmith is good enough?" And he's like, "All right, if the swordsmith is good enough, I can do this special technique with it." And he picks up a kitchen knife, and he cuts a radish in half, and then he sticks the two halves of the radish back together, and they reconnect. And he's like, "Yeah, I can only do that super special technique with a good enough blade." So
Blade.
that's how I know this guy's good.
All right.
It's and then they never do it again. It just never happens again.
Never happens again.
He never uses that extremely seemingly useful skill ever again. But yeah,
Just for
this is I think this is
it.
meant to be like the same mythological like ability.
Okay, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, especially with the time period that Gintama is like focused around, and it would make sense for
Yeah, the
someone to
like
have a technique like this.
yeah, it I feel like the reference is into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so then they're like uh the Shinigami, his name is I don't know how to, is it
Uh,
Asaimon? Asaimon?
Simon, the girl, right?
The girl. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's having a dream where it's her cutting her predecessor's head off, and it's like her teacher, um, and then she's complaining that Gintoki is touching her inappropriately, and he's like, "I never did that," and she goes, "No, Shinigami have an extra private part that you're not allowed to touch." And what the fuck did she call it? It's
Privates of the
something of the
Caribbean.
Privates of the Caribbean. That's what it was.
Privates of the
It was something
Caribbean.
of it was the Privates of the Caribbean, which is her mask,
Yes.
and and then she does some kind of special technique where she rips Gintoki's nipple off and throws it down the street. Um, but then eventually she puts it back on later.
Yeah, this
It's
nipple makes it all the way across everything.
yeah, it like bounces down the street. It's a long journey. It's like a Finding Nemo situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Finding nipple.
yeah, finding it's a Finding Nipple situation. Um, and then she's like, yeah, she was adopted, and then there's this other guy, who is
We
the
I forget his real name, but they call him the 18th Ikeda,
yeah,
which is.
and he's the natural born son
Mhm.
of their teacher, while she was not blood related to him,
Yeah,
if memory serves on that.
yes, that is correct. He was the 17th Yaimon. This is where it got
Yes,
confusing for me, just because I was like, okay,
because they all
it's
have the same fucking name.
Yaimon, yeah. So I was like, okay, that guy was
Yeah.
the 17th Yaimon. He's the 18th Yaimon, and this is Asamon. And I forget his
Yes.
actual name, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it with Yaimon, 18th Yaimon. That works
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on the 18th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and like the 17th, who is the person that she killed in her flashback and she feels terrible about, was that he freed a criminal that was supposed to be executed, and so he had to be executed to like not sully their name, because their whole thing is they're like a clan of executioners. That's like their whole deal.
Yeah.
And then it got out, and so she like decided to call herself a traitor to like protect the image of the organization, so it wouldn't be like, oh, the org is wrong, is it that she took all the blame for it, basically. And then Gintoki, being Gintoki, figures out the plot immediately, and he's like, "You didn't actually kill any of them people, did you?" And she's like, "Yeah, no." And then but he's like, "Wait a minute." And then the guy who is the 18th Gaimon is like, "Yeah, it was me. I killed them all because they're criminals, and you have to murder criminals because criminals are bad." And he's like, "I'm killing them because they're like the ones that's the guy let it go, I think." And so he's like rounding them up to kill them, to to cleanse the sin or whatever that the guy didn't do.
Yes, he's saying that he's criminals that he let escape, so there's nothing wrong with what's being done. At least that's the justification that he gives there. And
yeah, he's saying like they should have been killed and they got away, so now I'm doing the right thing by killing them now.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reveals that one of the criminals that was released that didn't get executed was Gintoki, and it's the big wham shot.
It's the big ending bit here. But let you know that if you ever thought that there was a potential of him being maybe slightly right, he's wrong, because why is Gintoki's list on it? If he let him go, he couldn't have. All the other ones probably weren't that bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that is episode 279. How did you feel about it, Zen?
It was fine. It had the best jokes of the 3 episodes. The Krillin one was really funny. I also think it was really funny when he drags her back to the house, and he's like, "Come on, we gotta send her to Soul Society. Bring all the Zanpakuto we have."
Yeah, he starts like just putting on top of her.
Which implies he like has a bunch of replica like Bleach toys laying around. I thought that was funny. Mm-hmm. The only thing I will say about this arc, because it was a fine little 3 episode thing, I enjoyed it. I clocked it from literally the minute she started talking. The minute she started talking about her backstory, I was like, "Oh my god, okay, we're gonna get the Gintama treatment here. We're gonna see this girl, and she's gonna have a sad backstory, probably involving a parent or loved one that is no longer alive, and then something's gonna happen where she has to die, and she's gonna die for some reason, and then we're gonna get revealed at the last minute that she didn't actually die." Spoiler alert for the rest of the episode.
Spoiler alert for this is pretty close to exactly how it goes. Difference here is
I was like, there's 100% chance that this is about to happen, and sure enough,
though this one's different in that the original father, it was okay that he died. It turns out it was the stepfather who stepped up, which is the one that actually mattered. She had 2 dad deaths, but only one of them truly mattered.
The other stepfather who stepped up. That's true.
It's true. He did. He stepped up to everything, taught her the ways of effectively killing. But yeah, I thought it was the over arc of it. I thought it was probably a pretty decent return back to it, because it felt like a very much a you didn't need to know too much about everything. You actually end up learning more about the characters as it kind of goes through. Funny enough, just because this ties back into stuff about Gintoki and reveals a little bit more about like some specific things that you see in the back. But
yeah, his whole little past and all that
little past. But yeah, I thought this was a perfectly fine episode. It helps that it had been a while since we'd seen it, so a lot of it was just like, holy shit, I'm glad to be watching this again. And it kind of had like a little mystery story from the beginning and setting up, and this was actually the one that had the most jokes in it, because the other 2 are not very many jokes at all.
No, they do the hard flip into like, we're a serious show now. Thing that Gintama always does.
Yes, because the previous ones, because I remember, because like the last one, the one before we saw this one was the Toriko episode where the mom was making all the lunches. Like, oh, that was a really funny episode. No wonder that they had to follow it up with this. It makes a lot of sense when you look at it that way. Same reason why the next episode after all these arcs is a Hasagawa one, because they're like, okay, we know how to meter these out now. But I like the jokes that they had. The Privates of the Caribbean joke was very funny. The nipple constantly going around, especially because she explains it. It's like it's okay if you just put it back on. She like they're like explaining the technique. The technique is so good that if you just apply it back on, the nipple will go back on, and then it
Yeah, it'll
immediately get
just stick back on.
yeah it immediately gets crushed. And then he says like, well, you can always hope for the next DVD cover they bring back your nipples, and then they show like the Icky
Yeah,
Men
she's
DVD.
like, please draw it back on the next DVD release.
Yes, when they have to make the super sultry DVD cover to get people to buy their DVD. It will come back then. I thought that was very funny, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting setup for it, and we'll talk about the following arc as it goes from here as we go into episode 280, which is called Human or Demon. Go ahead, Zen.
So Okita and Hijikata are talking, and Okita's like, "Oh yeah, the serial killer was that girl, and she got given to the Mimawari Gumi, the silly white version of the Shinsengumi, um, and they had a trial and killed her all in one day." And they were both like, "That's suspicious as fuck. Shit's weird right now."
Mm-hmm.
So they start investigating. Turns out that she was in fact alive. Um, and Gintoki, they made it so that she got like declared dead, so that they could sneak. They faked her death basically, so they could sneak her out on a boat of corpses. Um, she is all upset because she's like, I can't. I just wanted to die honorably, and I'm still alive, and I can't even do that. Like, fuck, everything sucks. She keeps calling herself a demon. Um, Gintoki gives her like a pep talk that's like the only thing that can save a human from becoming a demon is another human. Demons can't save demons or whatever. He's basically saying you're a good person and you don't have to do that. Shinpachi and Kagura are also here for reasons. They don't really do anything for most of these arcs, but they're here.
They also
Most of
are
these
a
episodes,
little.
I mean.
They're a little incensed because they're like, we had nothing to do with this, and now we're involved in this.
Yeah, they're actually like a little irritated that they're there. Um, and then they're like, "Well, what were you?" They're like, "Why was he even in prison? Now we're stuck on this fucking boat because of him." And then she's like, "No one's gonna marry me now." And then Okita's like, "I'll marry you, but uh, my house has bars on it because it's a jail cell or some shit like that."
Yeah, it's
And
true.
they stop the boat and they get on the boat and they're trying to inspect the ship. And Gintoki and Asaemon are in one of the barrels that the corpses go in, and they're trying to stay hidden. And she keeps kicking Gintoki, and it makes him like fart in her face, which then causes her to push him through the side of the barrel. And I think this might be like the last joke of this. It's the last one I remember. Is that they're like, oh my god, look, a rat's head came out, because they're trying not to have them look and see Gintoki in there.
Yeah.
And so Kagura and Shinpachi keep kneeing his head through the two sides of the barrel back and forth over and over again.
I don't know. It looked like
Um,
they were like double teaming him. It did
yeah, it
not.
did. It did. It didn't look good. Um, but then Hichikata finally opens the barrel, and Gintoki is like all covered in blood from getting beat up, and he's like, "I'll curse you for 100 generations." And Hichikata like freaks out, and he keeps calling it like the mayonnaise line, and I don't know if that means like the line you cross when you die or something. I don't know what he means by that, but that keeps coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they, fuck, what happens after they find them in the crate?
They explain what actually happened. Okita
Oh, that's right.
explains.
They talk about how, yeah, that the the previous head, who was the 17th
Mm-hmm.
Yaimon, was like, this is I can't handle watching this anymore, because the reason they let them go was that he was in the war, and he kept seeing like women and children get executed for being bad guys in the war. And they were like, hey, like, I can't do that anymore. I have to release them. And that's why he let them all go, was because he was sickened by the
Yeah,
government's behavior after the war.
yeah. They were basically just like kids and others being punished for the crime for crimes. They were asking him to execute children and stuff like that. They actually do show
Yeah.
a shot of the people he let go, and we see them when they're adults dead, but they show when he released them, they were all kids.
Mm-hmm. And then they're like, the like other people board the ship, and it's like the Shinigami executioner people, the Reaper people.
So yeah, so
And
he ended up making a deal with the general who was defeated at that war because politically he got like screwed over. He's supposed to be the next shogun in line, but his political career was ruined after that battle, and now all the people who had screwed him over politically were being killed. That's how that's how the Shinsengumi knew that something was up, because they were only killing people that were related to this one specific thing. That's how they figured it out. So all the people there, they learned that they had sold them out, and they were all getting ready to kill Simon and Gintoki as well, because he was also one of the co-conspirators in that battle as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. And then they start fighting on the ship. His Gintoki gets mad, and this is like the only thing that Kagura and Shinpachi do, and the whole thing is that they're also helping fight on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then Simon is like, I'm gonna fight my brother because my brother is a fucking dickhole, and I'm gonna save the legacy of my adopted dad / teacher guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna like go confront him, and then he slices up the railing of the ship, like underneath her, and she does the silly anime thing where she like kicks off the rubble of it to get up to. It's actually kind of funny because he cuts the bridge under her feet, and she like jumps along the rubble to land on the part of the bridge that's not broken, and then he just cuts that too, and she falls again. And then she's like clinging onto the edge of it, and it shows a slow mo of him like swinging his sword at her, and it zooms in on her eye, and then the episode ends there.
Yes, that is where the episode ends. All right. How'd you feel about this one, Zen?
It was all right. I mean, it's a 3-episode Gintama arc, so there's like the first one that's the setup where you basically don't really learn all that much of anything, and then the second one is where you get all of the backstory, and then the third one is where they do all of the fighting and they have the emotional reunion. So this was a lot of exposition in this one, but it was fine. It was probably my least favorite of the 3.
Yeah, these are funny enough. I understand now why so many Gintama arcs get turned into movies. Because a lot of the times it does kind of feel like one. It's just that in the middle of it, it must have been
an hour and a half movie.
Yeah, it was like a very quick hour and a half, 90 minutes. Here you go, bing in, bing out. We're done and we're good. It's just funny that when I was seeing this, like, yeah, this kind of all does flow together, so it makes it a little bit weird. It does also make me feel a little bit bad for the people who were watching it at that time, having to wait like an entire week. It'd be like,
yeah, that probably sucked.
Yeah, that.
Imagine you're watching like Star Wars and fucking they land on the Death Star and they're like, all right, come back next week, and you can see what happens next.
Exactly. It can get a little bit, annoying, but I also think like that's probably what sometimes some episodes are meant to do, of like get you excited to see the next one. But for these specifically, when it's like a 3-episode arcs, I feel like when it gets to 4 or 5, there's a little bit more of like a boom, big wait for the next one. But for the 3 ones, you definitely feel like it would just be way better for me if these were all one giant thing that I could see.
Yeah. For sure.
Especially because a lot of them are interconnected of a lot of things and stuff in the first episode gets paid off later, like specific sayings and stuff like that. All get paid off by the end. But anyway, I also thought that this one was fine. I liked hearing some little bit more of the backstory, filling out a little bit more of the world. That's always fine with me. I liked it when they started double teaming Gintoki, because it was just funny to me. It was a very funny issue of them like kneeing this barrel, and it just looked completely wrong. I also did like the ultimate like Gintama thing of here's a very big solemn story that they're talking about, and then like 2 seconds later, Gintoki's in a barrel saying I need to fart, and then he farts directly into her nose.
Vintage Gintama. Yeah, he doesn't even like. It's not like accidental. He like grabs her face and shoves it into his butt and then farts in her face.
Yeah, huge. Like, it's understandable why he got attacked, 100%, because that looked foul to deal with, and you would hit anyone with that. And yeah, a lot of the other things that we have to say probably goes to the next. I also did like the little Kagura bit where for some reason she said, "I'll never be a bride." It's a very silly
Yeah,
thing.
like no one will ever marry me now.
Yeah. And also that weird line of the mayonnaise line, it comes up in the next episode,
He
which
brings it up, yeah, like multiple times. I don't.
it's
It's very strange.
it is. It's the only joke. This entire time I thought it was a One Piece joke, like the Grand line, but it's the mayonnaise line. And
Oh,
he's
like
just
the
like
mayonnaise line.
I can't actually tell what joke, what reference are you making? It you got. I'm not following you on this one, but I did like in the next one just because it's I think literally the only joke in it is him in the barrel when he pops up and he looks like actually we'll talk about it in the next episode because it's literally the next one. But yeah, this one perfectly fine. But let's end this arc with the next episode, which is Farewell Reaper. Go ahead, Zen.
So she's about to get killed and fall, but Gintoki saves her because I guess he just didn't need the bridge. He has cleared that shit, and they clash. And they're like, he knocks the brother or the 18th away, but then he gets shot in the back by the guys behind him with the little guns. And then the 18th reveals that Gintoki is responsible for the death of her dad. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Gintoki gives a little speech that's like, kill me, like gently, peacefully. And then they have like a flashback bit where it shows that Gintoki was in prison when she was like a little girl. And she was like, I'm going to become the best executioner ever. And then I'll cut your head off cleanly so you don't have to feel any pain.
That's at the
and
end
he's
of
like,
the
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, that's near the end of the episode.
I thought it was like at the beginning when they are about when she's about to cut his head off.
I could have swore that's the thing that they show as he's going to go get. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'm misremembering that. Continue on.
No, because he saves her and he gets shot and then he drops to his knees and then it revealed that Gintoki like caused her dad to die. And then he's like, you gotta execute him now.
Yes, sorry, you're right.
Yeah, and they have the little backstory thing, and then she goes to cut his head off, and then the 18th goes to cut her head off, but it was actually a setup where she didn't actually draw her sword. Instead, Gintoki drew her sword and hit the guy. It was like a elaborate 3-second trick technique thing.
It's the ultimate technique in terms of attack and defense.
Yeah, he grabbed the sword from her belt and broke his sword, or like snapped a piece of his sword off.
It was the tip
to stop him.
Destroyed the tip.
Yeah, so that he couldn't cut her throat when he tried to. And then the cut on Gintoki's neck, which they thought was an execution cut, was just him. He just cut his neck while he was doing this. I don't even know if it was intentional.
He did it on purpose, probably to fool him, to make him drop his guard.
Yeah, he draws the sword from her sheath and then cuts his neck accidentally, or I guess intentionally. I don't know. Cuts his own neck on the way there, and then it snaps the tip of his sword off. Yeah, it doesn't really say. He just kind of does that.
Yeah. It's funny to think of. There's two ways to read it. I took it as, oh, I see. He's to trick them when they're doing the neck thing. You took it as, dumbass, he accidentally cut himself on the sword.
Yeah.
Both valid. Both valid interpretations of the art form.
And then they're like, oh, I'll hit him, and my sword will get there first. And it's like a slow-mo motion where they're like swinging at each other. And he just now realizes that his sword was already broken, and the end of it is laying on the floor. Gintoki wins the battle. The gunmen go to shoot them all, and then they start getting hit by barrels that Okita has been throwing at them, like with the corpses in them. Mm-hmm. He's like kicking them and using his sword as like a baseball bat to launch them over into all the gunners so that they can't shoot them.
Also using it as a pretense of, hey, this is what you wanted, this is what you're getting, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And the 18th is like, I I was gonna kill my dad to protect the family name, but what you protected was my father's like spirit, like his soul, what it meant, like his beliefs. You were like protected the thing that was more important than the family name. You protected like who he was as a person.
Yeah, the kind
Um,
of running thing here is the actual role of the executioner, which is the executioner's job, which is what he was trying to fulfill, which is by the letter of the law, we kill people. That's it. That's what we do. And then her specific one is that that's not an executioner's job. It's the soul of the executioner is to actually punish sin. And if there's no sin, then you have to judge it on that. So it was kind of like the two different sides of what an executioner can be seen, and probably
yeah,
two different ways people see it as well.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so he lets them get away, and he says that she's the new one now. The She can have the title, that he's giving it up. And then another funnily dressed man in classic Kentucky villain style, looks kind of fruity.
Aw.
Uh, Comes out and he's like, "Wow, what do I even call you now that you've given up your name?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't, call me a patricider or whatever." And the guy goes, "What if I call you just a head?" And then he cuts his head off. Um, and the guy's head falls into the water. And then they turn around and fucking Takasuji is there, just hanging out, just fucking showing up
The
to
entire
be
time.
here for 10 seconds, as he is wont to do. Um, and he's like, "Wow, how did you manage to do that?" And there was the corpse that was ended up still being alive, and it was the devil, the white devil, and Takasuchi's like, "You absolutely could never have beaten him, and you can't beat me either. So watch your shit." Um, and he says,
Rude.
"But as long as you're gonna go against the government, I will help you because that's my whole deal. Is I go against the government. That's like my thing." Um, but he's like, if you betray me, I'll kill you. And if or Gintoki will kill you. Like, so you're gonna get killed by one of us because we're just
Someone's
better than
gonna
you
be
at everything.
killing you.
Yeah, because he cuts the executioner guy's head off, and he's like, "I'm the executioner now. It's me." Um, and then they're in like they're in like the police car, like the van, and they tell him like, "Oh yeah, she killed herself because to make sure that the rest of the family was protected, that the rest of the family didn't get executed for the crimes that occurred. She took the fall and killed herself." And they were all like, "No." And then they pull over and they open up uh the back of the van, and there she was. I was like, "Yep, okay, I knew it." I knew she wasn't actually going to die. um and they're like, "Yeah, uh she technically is dead or whatever." It's, it's a strange metaphor. Um,
It is a spiritual death. The previous
yeah,
person is dead, and then the new one is the
the
new
new
current.
one is the 19th now. Not Yeah, she doesn't have the old name anymore. She's now
Yeah.
the 19th.
Who she was
Um,
previously is dead. Whoever that was is no longer with us, but now there's a new one going forward. A spiritual killing of the self, which is not usually what you think of when it's going for, but it is the kind of
no,
thing that they're going for here.
yeah, and so then she's like, I'm gonna commit the punishments or whatever," and she cuts all of their like cuffs off, and she cuts her own mask, and she's like, "There are no criminals here that need to be punished," and then her sword won't waver anymore. So that all of them are absolved of their sins. Um, Hijikata and Okita leave, and they have like a cute little moment where Gintoki takes her broken mask and throws it into the river, and then goes back over to all of them, and then realizes as he does that she took his other nipple, and then it ends.
Yes, and then we have the close of arc ending where they play
Yes, they play the arc highlights instead of the
Yes.
regular credits. Yeah,
Yes, which was nice to see. And I'm like, yes, we're
it was
back here.
cute. Yeah.
It was. All right, then. How do you feel about episode 281? And now that we're done with the arc, your thoughts on the arc in general?
Episode was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I still think it was funny that she had to hop across that bridge, and then Gintoki just vaulted it just fine on his own, no problem.
Power scaling.
Yeah,
you have to keep it. You have
the
to
power
keep
scaling is crazy right now.
We got to make Gintoki look strong. Put him. He doesn't even care about anything else. He just clears it, no problem.
Is no bridge level.
Exactly. No bridge level.
He's no bridge level. Yeah, but he's a bridge buster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fine. The little ending was cute. I thought the metaphor of she died and Gintoki helped her kill herself, but she was actually like it was a clumsy metaphor. They dragged it on a little bit too long.
This might also be a cultural difference for us. I think that's fair to say.
Maybe because they just keep saying it is the thing. They're like, yeah, she committed suicide, but it was her old self that died, and you helped kill her, and then because you all helped to assist with her suicide, that cleanses her sins of her past life, and it's like, Jesus, that's a lot of. You're doing it too much. You're doing it too much.
It is very Japanese in the metaphor of the idea of like seppuku and the honorable death and stuff like that. So it's fair to understand that we here who grew up in America, I'm not too sure about yours, but I definitely had a religious background, and it is a little bit of a different approach when it comes to things like that. I think that's fair to say. It's a fair thing to be like, when you see a different culture's view on it, you go a little like, oh, okay. I don't. I'm gonna try my best here to understand, and I think I did.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot, but I took it as more of a spiritual thing, and I think a lot of this actually had to do with the kind of spiritual self, the idea of like demons and what makes a human, or what can someone who is a demon ever really gain back any of the lost humanity that they had. And I think it kind of goes back to a lot of the other fights that we've had in Gintama so far, where we've seen Gintoki face off to similar demons, but the ones that actually, the people that helped them, were always the people that still had a lot of humanity left to them. And in this case, that's what they were doing with her, where she was able to help in the idea of like bring a little bit of humanity to people who had lost it a long time ago. And for Gintoki, he definitely has lost it a long time ago, which is, I think, is always the interesting thing whenever we see more about him, is like, oh no, he's like 10 times fucked up right now. Like, even now, the idea, even thinking of this one, like the very idea, the only reason he kept on was so that someone else could eventually like judge him for what he had done and like bring him to a close, basically. Like, the idea of what he was looking for was for a death of some kind, and he's just kind of been allowed to be like, it's okay to keep living and keep doing this, but he doesn't feel like he has the right to that just because of all the things that he's done. It's a very interesting metaphorical kind of deep dive look into it, though I will say with you again, just because of how we view the specificness of what they said. And this is really tough to talk about, just because I know for a fact YouTube is currently looking at me like, "Hey, brother, watch yourself.
Watch the content here.
Watch the fucking tone." If you want to know how strict they are with how we have to talk about certain things, last night I named a video hopefully not shit quality, and they limited it based off of the video title that you were not seeing. I had to re-upload the video. So they're like, we disagree.
It's rough out here.
It is. And this one specifically,
it's rough out here.
Yeah. And this specifically, I think, is a deep look into it that I think is an interesting thinker. It's one of those ones where I feel like if you ever see it again, once you've got the full picture of what Gintoki is, I think you'll probably be a little bit more like, I see. And especially for us, we're like puzzle pieces right now. We're trying to form up what we think Gintoki is. And I feel like currently, we got about 50% of the board at the moment. I feel like that's fair to say. What do you think? We got about 50% of what the man is. We understand a decent bit about his backstory, about how he's been, how he currently views himself.
It feels like every time we get one of these little arcs, despite the arc not seeming to have anything to do with him, we end up learning like little pieces about like who he is and what he's done
Mm-hmm.
throughout his existence that kind of paint a different picture. And I do think that as far as the metaphor goes, when it comes to like showing him that it's okay to be, this goofy dude that just
Mm-hmm.
like exists, and he doesn't have to be endlessly punished for who he was, is good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say we I don't know if it's exactly 50%, but we definitely don't have
We
the full
don't.
picture right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I'm just picturing in my just because as we're getting closer to the end, I feel like we've gotten a little bit more. Every single time, every time we have a little bit of arc, we learned a little bit more about him, and we kind of push it together. And I kind of do like that. A lot of these arcs kind of do feel like they form a bigger picture of a whole until we eventually get to the end, and we learn. I think what is basically 100% of what is there to know about him. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think this is a pretty decent one to come back to. It was kind of like, you know what, this is a perfectly. We're watching it. We learn a little bit more. It's 3 episodes, easy enough, right? Couldn't ask for more.
yeah. You don't get blasted by a giant one.
Yes,
It's all just good stuff.
it is. I also did like I forgot because in the beginning I forgot that they saw that the Mimigumi, the silly version of the Shinsengumi,
Yeah,
it
the whatever I don't remember their name, but the
yeah
funny version of them.
the Mimorgui. It's funny because when Takatsuchi becomes at the end, it's like, oh, that's right, they were involved with it, and he was previously involved with them, and this is another case of him like joining up another to his like eventual Sinister Six style villain reveal. I think near the end, which I think is what they're building up towards, is that Takatsuchi keeps making these deals with a lot of people, and he's always just there in the background. And usually we just heard like he was just doing nothing, but now we're actually seeing him form up something that will, I think, eventually have to do something. Not sure what, but I'm keeping an eye on you, Takatsuchi, and the many people that you are putting next to
Yeah,
you.
you're up to some funky shenanigans here.
For
I'll
sure.
say that much.
Yes, for sure. And I can't wait to see more of it. If only because I like hearing him. It's always a fun. That voice acting
Yeah,
is so
when
freaking
we
good.
first when I started the first episode and I watched the opening credits, he's in the opening credits for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it, there he is, fucking aura farming in the credits again. And then he did actually show up at the last second. I was like, oh, what the fuck, it's him.
It's so crazy, especially because we had so many episodes where he just was. The joke was just he just shows up in the OPs and the EDs collecting that
Mhm.
check, but now the
Yeah,
check
he's
he's
making sure he gets paid.
making sure he gets paid residuals. He has to be on the card. It's like when back in the old days of when WWF Raw was released, if they ever had a background schmoz of a bunch of people showing up, they made sure that they were viewed on camera because then Vince had to pay them because they now officially were on TV, so therefore they are considered TV actors.
That's amazing. Love that.
Yeah, so anytime there was, they were like, all right, if there's someone in the back, I have to make sure that the camera sees me.
Love that for them.
Yes, perfect. But all right, that is it for this episode of Shonen Archive. What is going to be next? That's a very good question. Let's see.
The
So,
preview was apparently a summer vacation special episode, I think it said it was.
yes, I just saw that it was Hasagawa and it was summer and it was Halloween related, which is great for us because we love Halloween. And thankfully for Japan, they celebrate Halloween during the summer. That's when all their spooky stories comes out, so we'll be going that. So that's episode 282. And then we
Yeah,
have
that's right up our alley.
yes. So I think what it's likely to happen is next, we're going to try to see 5 episodes, which are going to be episode 282, episodes 283 and 284, which makes a little arc that's called the confessional arc, and then episode 285 to 286. And then if we were to do it again, we have another arc, which is called the Soul Switch arc, which I think we've seen reference in the OP. Based off of there's a brief shot of Gintoki and Hijikata where they briefly switch sides and they just look different. I think that probably is
Oh
where that
yeah,
comes
where
from.
his hair gets pushed back.
Yes, he looks a little bit more Hijikata like, which I think is likely what it's referencing there. And that would be 2 weeks time from it. So yeah, 5 episodes
Oh,
hopefully
you're
next.
right. That is probably what it is, because he's like smoking when
Yeah.
when they flip, and Hijikata's got a lollipop in his hands. instead of a
Yeah.
cigarette. So that is
Yeah.
probably what it is. Yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm thinking. That's probably also, well, let me see. Yeah, it would make sense because I think that's also where likely the OP ends, maybe. No, it isn't. It goes a
Yeah, I
little
can
bit
see that.
beyond that, but yeah, it would make sense. But yeah, the we got potentially 5 episodes for next week or next time we record. We hope it's next week. We're in a little bit of a better situation now, but you never know. But we're getting
Yeah,
close.
hopefully we get into the cadence.
Yes, we definitely are both happy to be back, and I would love to be recording again. So we will attempt to make it happen. If it's not next week, it's the week after, and if it's not the week after, we'll get there eventually. I still want to hopefully get things done by the end of the year. I had that one. I only have a single resolution. I only made one, which was finish Gintama by the end of 2025.
I believe in us.
And I believe in us, and that includes us trying to figure out something to do with the manga as well, because the anime does not cover everything in the final arc. So we had a couple people saying like, "Hey, make sure that you also read the manga," and we'll probably do something after we finish where we read the manga and talk about the differences that was included versus not included. And I don't know if we want to do that over on your channel where we can talk about that since there's a little bit more focus on that, or it can be on mine. It's a whichever one. It's one of those things where I would give it to yours because usually you are focused a little bit more in on manga stuff, but I believe you're also in a period of figuring stuff out for yourself on your channel. But either way,
Correct.
I would gladly give
We'll
it to
figure
you.
it out when we get there.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll figure it out when we get there.
We will cross that bridge or jump over the tiny leftover bridges.
We will bust that. We're bridge bust it when we go when we get there.
Exactly, when we get there. So
yeah, we'll leap over the shattered bridge when the time comes.
when the time comes. And it would also be nice because now that we know for a fact that there's more Gintama for us to watch because we have Ginpachi, not Ginpachi. Is it called? Yeah, Ginpachi Sensei coming up in October, which is going to be releasing. And eventually we are going to have to come back and talk about the Yoshiwara in Flames movie, which is getting a movie next year, which I've talked to someone who's been watching it. And I said, if it's possible, maybe I'll just go to Japan and watch it there, and then I'll expense it all as some kind of YouTube thing and say, like, no, it was made for, on my taxes, I can say, now that I make enough money off of this channel, I can say, no, listen, it was to help grow the channel. This was
all for the business.
It was all for the business, baby. I needed to go see it. I need to call this all on my taxes. A ticket. Yes, I needed a ticket to go there, of course. It's the only thing that makes sense. So look for that potentially next week. Not next week, next year. If I could figure out how to do it. I already have a note here left by someone, what I call it, if it happens. It would probably be a Shonen Archive Gaiden. It would be the ultimate side story of where I'm just gone for a bit to go to Japan to go watch the movie.
It's your spin-off arc.
It's my ultimate spin-off arc where I'm just like in Japan. But even then, I do plan to go to Japan, and probably they made a good point. I should try and look for as much Shonen Jump stuff just so I can talk about it and be like, yo, check out this shit. They have so
Look
much.
at all this shonen stuff right here.
Exactly. Let's see what's truly big up here. Well, no surprise, it's Demon Slayer. No surprise to anyone, it's Demon Slayer. But I could actually find merch for this other stuff. Let's go. Let's find it. But yeah, we'll look forward to that next year. All right, so now let's start doing a little bit of the cleanup. As always, if you want to go see more Zen, you can go to Zen's channel where he has stuff that he's planning on doing eventually. Right, Zen?
Yeah, there's nothing to see right now, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there slowly but surely. You know, you're like Rocky to us, Zen. We're all Patrick, and we're saying, you know what? When you get moving, you're gonna get there, and then when you do it, you're gonna win. That's what I'm thinking.
Love that.
Perfect.
Love that.
If you want more me content, you're already on the channel that features more me. It's on here. You know, though most of it is fake Grand Order stuff. I do try and occasionally do more things. I've been doing a little bit more streams, though those are also kind of fate related. I'm working on it. All right, it's a slow process. I also have to do a lot of work. There's so many. Oh,
I need everyone in the comments needs to comment that Wokey needs to do Sonic Generations.
Sonic Generations. Oh,
yes, where I play the good levels and you play the bad levels because your mortal foe is classic Sonic.
Oh, it's true. Though we'll see. Maybe I'll break the spell there just because I'm really good at modern Sonic, and this is technically a modern take on classic Sonic, so maybe I'll be good. Maybe I can break the curse. If there's anything that can break the curse.
Yeah. And then suddenly you'll be good at all the old ones.
Yes, that will never happen though. Sadly, that will just straight up never happen. My number one op is old 2D Sonic. It's been that way since I was gonna say graveyard days. I was not in the graveyard as an elementary school kid. What the fuck did we call those? Play yards. Playgrounds, thank you. Since the playground days when you had to take a stand, are you Nintendo or are you Sega? And I was Nintendo all the way back then. Mainly because I only owned a Nintendo console, and I just kind of looked at Genesis stuff going, man, that'd be cool. One day. And then that day never came. Until now, where we play it on there occasionally. And if you want to show support to the show, you can just keep on watching. You never have to worry about the show going anywhere, because Fake Grand Order is the main thing that keeps my channel going. And is growing. I'm almost at 5,000.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I should hopefully reach it by the end of the year if I keep actually doing stuff. Very happy about that. But though, funny enough, this show actually grows without us doing much. There's actually plenty of people that continue to watch Shonen Archive and get into Gintama stuff, and a lot of people go back to the old episodes and be like, hey, I just started. I even looked at the statistics for this, and I was like, there's a decent amount of people who just watch this that I don't even notice because they just silently watch it. And I said, oh, that's really fucking cool.
That is really cool. I'm glad that we can be back to create more Gintama content.
Yes, and eventually get back to our other series as well. As someone has also said, please get back to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I
that was me on an alt account. That was me. I made that comment. Yeah, I made 500 alts to say, let's keep watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
We should, but we should first also finish Kuroko's Basketball, because I have to rewatch those 5 episodes for that arc because it was so good. I have to see it again because we have to record it again.
Goes so hard. Oh, that's right, because we stopped like in the middle of an Aomine game.
Yeah, Aomine game.
Which is always a banger.
I watched all that and I was like, fuck, I can't wait to talk about this. And then unfortunately, stuff happened. And we have to wait a little bit more. But don't worry, when we have a better sure footing where we know for a 100% fact it's safe to go back to the other ones, we plan to get back to them. Don't worry about that. And yeah, just keep watching. I was going to say keep reading. Keep watching. Leave a like if you can. Leave a comment. It always helps out. And we will see you guys in the next Shonen Archive.
Now that you said keep reading, we have to make captions for these so that people can read them only.
Don't put that on me, man. We talk about so much bullshit in this show. don't do that to me.
Could you imagine transcribing this nightmare?
I could not imagine it for the life of me. First of all, I don't even like how the fuck I sound. Can you imagine me going slowly by slowly? When I made the shorts, like, I see that a lot of people, because I've only ever made 2 shorts, I was gonna do the thing where, people put like text there, and then I did it for like 10 seconds, and I said, this fucking sucks. I hate this. I am not doing this again, and I got rid of it. And I never did it again, which is why I've made 0.003 cents on that one shorts. Watch out, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Making the big shorts money.
Almost halfway to half of a penny.
Hell yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. And
get paid.
Get big paid. Now it's time to end the show. That's right. I didn't forget. Sig bye, Zen.
Goodbye, everybody.